I want to take very seriously a lot of complaints that came in on Friday, but I want to address it in two parts. Bill O'Reilly was on, and he said some things that I strongly disagree with, but, you know, Bill and I disagree on a lot of things. This one was a pretty big disagreement, but the audience reacted differently than I did. Chris wrote in, tough decision. I have a heavy heart. I'm sad to say it has come to this. As I respect you, I think you're a great human. Bill has a stance of the unvaccinated that made my blood boil. Keep up your efforts, but I'm done listening to you. Dale and Claudia wrote in, we have listened to you for almost 20 years. Today with the Bill O'Reilly segment, we're done listening on Fridays. He was disgusting and arrogant and sounded like a Nazi. I think I kind of said that in a nice way. Nothing more can be said, and please don't defend him, as that would need for us to reconsider listening at all. I will defend him. I won't defend his policy, but I will defend Bill O'Reilly. Kathy Myers, I will no longer support Bill O'Reilly, argued that losing a great percentage of our infrastructure, first responders, firefighters, healthcare providers, could be a matter of public health, that police could be identified with a mask as unvaccinated so they will know who is unvaxxed so you can stay away. This just goes on and on and on. So I called Bill and said, hey, Bill, let's talk about this. Now, here's the one part that there's two parts in this. Before we get to Bill's opinion, the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't like sweeping things under the rug. If something has happened on the show, we address it because we're all adults. The other thing is, just because we disagree with somebody, and in Bill's case, usually 80% agree, and this is a big one on disagree, but 80% agree, we are not the people that cancel people. I don't want to cancel people. I want to continue to listen to people who have different ideas and see if we can influence their thinking and also hear what the other side is saying. There are a lot of people in the country that agree with Bill. I am not one of them, but I think we should hear the other side. And we have a diminishing amount of friends because of what is happening in the world. And I am not willing to make enemies out of friends. I want to continue the conversation. That's what this show is. We've tried to always stand for. We don't always meet those high ideals, but we're going to try it today. Bill O'Reilly, welcome back to the program, sir.
More enlightenment. I'm getting enlightenment twice this week.
Yes.
Unless you cancel me on Friday.
Yeah, well.
And that's excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent enlightenment. Thank
you. So, Bill.
Yeah.
You said some pretty crazy things on Friday. Here, let me just refresh your memory.
Yes, okay.
All right. How do you take 10% of the population and say, no job for you? This is recording from Friday. And expect that to work.
Now,
wait.
It's happening.
Wait, Bill, hold on just a second. Here's your response.
Even as we speak where I am.
I know.
So in New York City, they're going to lose 25% of the cops and about 18% of the firefighters.
What does that do to the city? And I mean, there's not a greater group of people that deserve that.
Who are the happiest people in the world today? The gangs who can go out and commit crimes.
Correct.
Look, they can commit crimes now at will anyway, but it's 50% easier to do it today and over the Halloween weekend. So look, I'm sympathetic to the fascist element of this.
Yeah,
I understand.
Stop for a second. You're not saying that you're sympathetic to fascists. You're sympathetic to the people who think this is fascism, right?
No, I was thinking. Look, let me define what I said. And
okay,
again,
all right,
people,
okay. Go
people
ahead.
hear what they want to hear.
Okay.
It's not what I said. I'm not for mandates. Okay, and I made that quite clear. So anybody who wrote into you and said,
I don't think you did make that quite clear. To me, I didn't get that. Okay.
Because I gave you a solution. To go around the mandates.
But right, but
mandates are number one. I don't think they're fair, And number two, I don't think they're constitutional in the private sector.
Okay, but your solution was that you would have the police not force people to have vaccines, but they'd have to wear a mask, so no one would trust that.
Unvaxxed.
Right, so no one would trust that police officer, which I think is a really bad idea.
All right. So you and I disagree. So let me ask you some questions.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm taking over the Glenn Beck show. It's a thrill for me to be here.
Well, it is. It is good to hear your humility on this.
Number one.
Yes, go ahead.
You're vaxxed, right?
I am not vaxxed.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you were vaxxed.
No, I'm for vaccine if you want it, but I had a really bad case of the vaccine. Of COVID.
How about your family?
Some of my family members are. One of my older children and her husband are vaxxed. We all had it, though. We all had COVID, all of us.
You all had COVID. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So do you believe that the vaccine brings down cases of COVID? Do you, Glenn Beck, believe that?
Yeah, I think there's plenty of evidence to show that it brings down.
Good. All right. So we're simpatico.
Mm-hmm.
Vaccine brings down the level.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are in New York City. You have 8.5 million people living in New York City. 8.5 million people. The government of New York, which is awful and terrible, they have decided that everybody who works for the city has to be vaccinated for two reasons. Number one, so the level of COVID goes down for city workers. And number two, because they want to send a message that everybody in the city should get the vax.
Okay, stop for a second.
Go ahead.
I mean, you look at the numbers in Florida going down. That also can be done by herd.
Yeah, but the vaccinations in Florida went up. Now, I support DeSantis and the Florida legislature in Tallahassee and in Texas as well, passing laws against mandates. I supported that. And I don't think your audience, because, again, people hear what they want to hear, I don't think they know that. But I have a solution, and I gave it to you on Friday in New York, that if you don't get vaxxed and the city council says you're going to get fired unless you take the vax, which I don't think is right, that a compromise could be reached. And that is that you get COVID tested twice a week at your own expense, and that people in the public, dealing with the public, all right, would wear masks if they weren't vaxxed.
Okay, stop.
So the public would know.
Okay,
so the public would know who was vaxxed and who wasn't.
Right. Like, as I pointed out on Friday, like the yellow star. Here is
No, but this isn't for civilians. This is for people who are in your face. Okay? It's not for everybody. It's just for city workers who interact with the public. So doesn't the
the first responders
does the public not have a right to know in a contagion situation, all right, who is vaxxed and who is not? Does the public have a right to know?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. Here's why, Bill.
Right.
Here's why. First, Americans don't want the government telling them what to do. Okay? That's the worst thing. You want to get people vaxxed, you don't do that. They want to make their own health care decisions. My body, my choice. They want to be able to maintain the ability to assess the risk in their own lives. And when you are...
But that goes for non-vax people, too. I mean, it goes for people who are vaccinated, who believe the vaccination protects them. They get the same rights.
Okay, so isn't this well, then why don't they just wear a sticker that says, I mean, they're the ones that believe in the mask in the first place. As you said on Friday, when I said the masks don't work.
Believe in the mask. This is against the mask.
Right.
I'm not a mask guy.
So then why are you saying that
you
if you didn't
reach a compromise rather than wiping out 20% of the police department so that the criminals run wild, you could reach a compromise with the union.
Okay, so here it is.
And that's all I was saying.
Okay, so here it is. your compromise is those people who do get the vaccine wear the mask so everyone knows who's vaccinated. You're asking people who don't believe.
Only if they're interacting with the public, because the public has a right to know if the person is vaccinated or not, if they have to interact with them.
Okay.
There are rights on the other side.
All right. So let me ask you this. What is the limiting principle on this? What stops the government from doing the same thing under the common good with now climate change or gun violence?
No, look, it's a public health situation which makes it unique.
So is climate change. So is gun violence.
Let's go. No, it's not.
That's what they're saying.
Well, they are stupid. Okay? Gun violence is driven by criminals. It's not driven by guns.
But that's not what they... I mean, you now have the Department of Health. It does. They're in charge. You can't open this door because you don't know what's behind the next door. And they're already saying these are public...
slope.
Yes.
Look, okay, in theory, that's fine. But every court in the country has ruled that in a public health situation, you have to get vaxxed for measles if you want to go to public school.
But it took us 6
and
years.
Polio, and a bunch of other stuff.
I know. Polio took us 6 years to get to 56%. And that's when kids were not walking.
The media wasn't as sophisticated. Look, let's just break this down. Okay? I support states like Texas and Florida saying mandates are illegal, number one. I don't support private companies saying to all of their employees, you have to be vaccinated or you can't work here. I think that's wrong, okay? They can do that. They have a right to do it, but I think it's wrong. However, and this is where your letters are coming in, I also support the right of people to know who's unvaccinated because there is a contagion. In New York City, if you didn't have the strict public health laws they have, you'd never get over this pandemic. It would never stop because there's too many people on top of one another.
Florida.
There's not any place in Florida that corresponds to New York City.
No, but you again, you are dismissing the idea that there is that your body makes immunity. Your body. What does a vaccine do? A vaccine tricks. Listen to me. It tricks your body into making antibodies. So it files that information.
No government in the world can evaluate antibodies. They can't do it. This is the path of least resistance to trying to tamp down and destroy a pandemic, and it's working. The vaccines are working. Wherever vaccinations go up, cases of COVID go down. There's a front page article in the Wall Street Journal today. Now, I understand, and I'm a champion of individual rights in this country. I am a champion. And I don't, like you, trust, particularly now, the governments that we have in most places. I don't trust Joe Biden. I certainly don't trust the New York authorities. They're not looking out for anybody. All right, they're trying to impose a catastrophic agenda on the American people, which includes totalitarianism and socialism. And we've talked about this on your program. All right, but I also understand there is danger from COVID.
Yeah, so do I.
So that we all have to be reasonable in how we confront that danger.
So I'm up against a break. I have to go, but we'll talk about this some more. Our difference is that I think the danger from an out-of-control government is currently worse than the idea that everyone has to be mandated because of COVID. I think the idea that you are making pariahs out of 10, 15, 20%, even 5% of the population is a very dangerous idea. And giving the government this power, All they really have to do is say, we highly recommend it, and you can make your own choice. We're already over 80%. We were clearly on the way up. This really kicked back when people started to say, wait a minute, you're forcing me? That doesn't seem right. Back in just a minute. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.